Okay, everybody ready?
I'm ready if you are.
Okay. Okay, good evening, everybody. We will open up the Planning Development Zoning meeting for August 26th. It is 6:01, and we'll start with roll call here. Ryan Miller, that's me, I'm here. Kyle Maraskin.
Here.
Marianne Atkinson.
Here.
Kenneth Haynes.
Here.
Christy Kennard.
Here.
Dolores Martin.
Here.
And William Richardson. Excellent. If I can get everybody to stand for the pledge, please.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I am the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so just to start off with, okay. Okay, so, thank you. Just to make everyone aware, before we get to this section, the first public hearing on the gas station, the applicant has withdrawn their application. So the official public hearing has been canceled, but anybody here that would like to speak about it under the public comment section, we can still do that, so we have it on the record. And additionally, we have some comments emailed into that I'm going to read into the record as well. So I'm going to start with one public comment that is on a different topic, and then we'll move into that one, just to give everybody a heads up. And then the second public hearing is still on, so any comments for that we'll have during the actual public hearing. Okay, so for this is going to be the public comment section, so we're going to start with the comment card here from Dwayne Heckman for 288 Associates LP Ordinance 2020-0-14.
Can David Mintzberg go first? Would that be okay on the same subject?
What is the subject? Because it just has the ordinance number on here, so I'm unfamiliar.
I'm sorry?
What is the topic? Because I'm unfamiliar with the 2020-0-14 ordinance.
Is that the developments?
The rezoning application. I think we were confused on it.
Okay, so the Dwayne Heckman, that's with the rezoning?
Yes.
For the gas station?
I'm not sure of the process, so I apologize.
Okay, sorry, I just didn't recognize the ordinance number, so it's different than
They're for the
than
second
other one.
public hearing, Ryan. They're for the Del Bello, the car dealership.
Okay, so this one's the second one, okay. Okay, clear that up. Okay, so real quick, I'm going to start by I'm just going to read in what we have emailed in for public comments on what was the first public hearing. Andrew Willard opposed to the rezoning for the gas station. Amy King from 5 Santa Clarita Circle opposed to the gas station. Tony, I'm going to butcher this last name, I'm sorry, Tony Jarcaz, G-A-A-R-A-C-Z, 22 Camel Chase, appears to be opposed to the gas station. Melissa Garcia Rodriguez, opposing the gas station. Carla Hernandez at 98 San Simon, opposed to the gas station. Gabriela, I'm going to butcher this one too, Capadato, C-O-P-A-D-O, opposed to the gas station. Latuina J, opposed to the gas station. Tanisha Buckner, opposed to the gas station. Gustavo Capadato, opposed to the gas station. Reshma, opposed to the gas station. Reba, opposed to the gas station. Kelly Schumann, opposed to the gas station. Thomas Moore, opposed to the gas station. Chuck Schumann, opposed to the gas station. Vicky Pendleton, opposed to the gas station. And Derek Hinn, opposed to the gas station. Okay. Those are all the email comments I have, and then I have one public comment card here from Stephanie Baird. So if you'd like to start, I'll give you, if I can just ask everybody to limit your comments to 3 minutes, just so we can get through everything. And then step up to the microphone and give us your name and your address for the record, please. And then let us hear what you have to say.
Yes, hello. My name is Stephanie Baird. I live at 49 Garden Grove Drive. And I promise I will keep these brief. I have been a resident at my current address since January of 2017. My family and I have called it home since then. But I've lived in Brazoria County most of my life, nearly 30 years. I've seen the area grow and prosper while maintaining small town roots that draw people in and keep them here as lifelong residents. And although I understand the need for growth, there comes a point when it is to the detriment of people and wildlife. So I ask that the area in question not be rezoned for commercial use. Not only would the construction add to the headache of traffic in the area, but the additional noise and light pollution to the residents and nocturnal ecosystems of the area. Light pollution may sound like a tree hugger's fever dream, but it is real and it is pervasive. Light pollution has been scientifically proven to disrupt circadian rhythm, which is the sleep-wake cycle that people, pets, and pests alike all have. The main culprit of light pollution is blue light, a specific wavelength of light that our bodies can't tell the difference in, but it is put off by both artificial and natural sources. I apologize, I won't go into all the science of it, but there are health issues, and it has also been shown to hurt nocturnal ecosystem, bees, which we all know are very important to our environment. But adding a third gas station in less than a quarter-mile radius of each other is unnecessary and honestly greedy. Manvel needs to remain the quiet place it has always been. We are not an extension of Pearland. I implore you to not rezone this area, or if you do rezone it as residential or maybe sanctuary space. We need to learn to maintain what we have and not gobble up every free square of land to add commercial space to. Leave that to Pearland and Alvin and let Manvel be. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. And was there anybody else that would like to say anything on what was public hearing number 1?
Derek Hain, 37 Terabella.
Yes, sir.
So I don't know if you guys got the copies of the printouts that I asked Tammy to send earlier. So I'll skip
Yes,
most
sir.
of the gas station stuff because I think you guys got plenty of feedback on the gas station. But I do want to remind you, so I've been a legal consultant for the last 20 years. And something you hear in the legal industry is make sure you understand the spirit of the law when the spirit of the law is applied. So I know that our city ordinance says that you can't have gas stations within 2 miles of each other within the city limits. So technically, I understand that these other 2 gas stations are on the other side of our city limits. But let's remember the spirit of the law is to not have a whole bunch of gas stations and dollar stores. So when you're considering these things about zoning, let's not get away with the technicality. Remember what the spirit of that law is and make sure that you don't allow things like that to happen based on that spirit. So I know we're probably not going to be able to keep that section residential for very much longer. But my biggest concern personally is the access to that section. Anybody that's tried to apply there before has wanted to come in through Rodeo Drive as opposed to coming in off of County Road 58, probably because of the cost. But I would beg you and implore you to please not allow any access off Rodeo Drive. If you're going to rezone that, require them to come in off of County Road 58. We only have one stop sign. That's our only traffic control in that entire intersection. And as you'll see in the notes that I sent you, we have County Road 58 eastbound averages 6,500 cars a day, every day. County Road 58 westbound, 8,200 vehicles daily, every day. And Rodeo Drive northbound, 7,000 vehicles a day. And then you want to add more traffic coming into a commercial area here. I would just ask that you make sure you keep that in consideration when you do consider rezoning there and require them to come off of County Road 58 instead of coming in off of Rodeo Drive. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Commissioner Ryan?
Yes, sir.
Can I add a point of clarification? So the public hearing was canceled because the applicant withdrew the application.
Correct.
But if and when the applicant brings back the application, it'll start the new process. The same thing would apply in terms of noticing. Letters would be mailed out to property owners within 200 feet. We would publish the notice of public hearing, and it'll go through the same process.
Correct.
Just
Yes.
wanted to make sure you're aware.
So if you got a notice tonight, you'll get another notice if they reapply. And then, or when they do, if it's for this or for something different, if it requires some different special approval. And then it will, like I said, be published in the paper, have the public hearing here, and then also have the public hearing with the city council as well. So if this does come back around, everybody will be notified, and we'll definitely hear what you have to say about it. I had one question here. I have a Chris Wall.
I'm on the agenda item number 2.
Number 2, okay. Okay, does anybody else have anything they'd like to say about what was going to be public hearing number 1 for the gas station? No? Okay, second call for public comments, or I'm sorry, actually, the wrong one. Then we'll close the public comments there. Okay. Very good. Okay, so we'll move on to our second or agenda item, public hearing B. To hear input from the public regarding an ordinance of the City of Manvel, Texas, amending ordinance number 2020-0-14 pertaining to zoning development-related provisions and requirements for Delaware Lakes Planned Unit Development to authorize NAICS Code 4411 motor vehicle dealer from the commercial property generally located at the southeast corner of Highway 288 and Del Bella Boulevard, providing for the amendment of the city's official zoning map, providing for severability, and providing a penalty in an amount not to exceed $2,000 for each day of violation of any provision hereof. Okay. So we will open public comments at 6:14. And I do have a few email comments here that we will add to the record quickly. So I have a Tawana Stevens. They are in opposition to the proposed zoning. And that is the only email comment I have. The rest are going to be public comments. So start with who I have paper for here. So Abraham Robels? Yes, sir. If you would just give us the correct pronunciation of your name and your address, please, for the record, and then I'll give you 3 minutes.
Abraham Robles. I live at 4306 Millers Creek Lane. My wife and I live on Millers Creek Lane, which is the street directly behind where the proposed dealership would go. And I'm opposed to the car dealership because all the light pollution, look at Toyota across the street from there. They have these really bright lights that keep them on all night, and they'll just shine all inside your house. The noise pollution, anytime these car salesmen are looking for a car, they hit the alarm on their fob, and it takes them at least 30 seconds to find it, and you can hear it in the houses that live nearby. There's the detriment to the community. You have the test drivers. They're always they're speeding down our streets. I've contacted Keating multiple times about the speeding, and they said they're going to do something about it, but they never do. The test drivers are always circling our neighborhood, and property values would would be affected because most people don't want to live behind the car dealership. That's all that I have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Okay, I have another comment card from Monica Britton. Yes, ma'am. If you would just give us your name and address for the record.
Yes, Monica Britton. I'm at 4415 Meadow Shore Lane. And I actually am I'm not opposed to the dealership. I am a public finance paralegal. I work with developers that develop mud districts. And so with my take, just from my legal experience, it could be much worse. We don't want someone to come in and then it becomes a strip center. Yes, we can complain about lights. Yes, the test drivers are annoying, but I'd rather have one owner. You can appeal to one owner versus, a strip center coming in and then you have someone who may open a restaurant. There's rodents, there's trash. You don't know their hours, dry cleaners, all kinds of things. It can be much worse, and I'm only saying that just from my own expertise. So I am for the dealership. I'm just thinking maybe we can talk to them about hours with the lighting. Also, I don't want a lot of traffic on Del Bello, so maybe we can talk about, there's a lot of space on the frontage road for trucks and vehicles to enter into the dealership. And so that's pretty much all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. Is this Janie Pina? Yes, ma'am. If you'll just give us your name and address, please.
Hi, good evening. I'm Janie Pena. My address is 4222 Millers Creek Lane, and I am opposed of the car dealership simply because when I purchased my home, my concern is very similar to Mr. Robles. I did not want to purchase a home in between car dealerships or be known for having a subdivision that's the subdivision for the car dealerships. The lighting, the traffic that we're already having with Keating is also a concern. We do have a lot of children that do cross the street, do play in the streets as well. They're completely not paying attention. So due to the over traffic already that we're already experiencing, and of course the light pollution, I'm strictly simply opposed of the car dealership. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. And then Dwayne Hickman.
Again, I think we were confused on the process, but
Okay, you just have some presentation when we get to the agenda item then? Okay, very good. Okay, now we'll have open call for public comments on the second agenda item. Yes, sir. If I can just get you to state your name and address for us.
Jeffrey Pasmino. I'll say it one more time. My name is Jeffrey Pasmino. I live in 6015 Gladewater Ridge Lane. I oppose on the dealership. Main reason, as the gentleman behind me said, the test driving, as well as the lighting. And I also do see the home values being impacted by that as well. 3 houses on my street are listed for sale at the moment, and I do have reason to believe having that dealership there, let alone another one, impact that.
Thank you very much, sir. Okay, anybody else? Yes, ma'am. Okay. And if I could just get you to press the button on the mic so the green light comes on. I think so. Yep, that's it.
Thank you.
Okay. My name is Denise Denise Russell. That was my maiden name. My husband James is back there. He could have come. Anyway, all of the things that the people have mentioned, I've thought about and agree with them. One thing that hasn't been mentioned is we live on Marsh Creek Lane, and Marsh Creek Lane, as maybe some of you know, backs up to the famous street that just got paved, Iowa Lane. Well, we have, most days, I'll say, and this is, pretty much average, 3 to 4 large car carriers going down my street to try to go on Iowa Lane. Iowa Lane now is just a mess because these trucks are too heavy to be going through there. So there's a lot of dips in the, that sort of thing. But, and I believe one of the ladies over here also mentioned this, when you, have children in the area, we don't have children, but we have pets. We keep them on a leash, try very hard to, manage them. But the first time something happens and one of them runs in the street and one of these car carriers goes along, well, we know what's going to happen. And that would be devastating to me and to my husband. I think that they haven't thought this through well enough. I feel like we're trying to turn Manvel into Houston. And I think that it really needs to be thought through, and I am definitely opposed.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. Okay. Any other comments? Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. And then we'll take you next, ma'am.
Donald Atkinson, live at 7425 Jordan Road. I'm actually for the dealership. I look at it now, the taxes that we pay and stuff, and think about the sales dollars and sales taxes that would be brought in by this, along with the maintenance on the vehicles and stuff. It'd be a steady supply of sales tax, and I'm all about paying less taxes if someone else is doing it with the sales tax. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. And yes, ma'am.
Good evening, everyone. Hi, my name is Dr. Pamela Hardy Shepherd, and before I walked up here, I did not even consider, what is your name, ma'am? The next lady. The other one? Yes. Monica. Monica had a wonderful point. However, I truly believe that putting another car dealership, it is one thing that when we moved in, we had the knowledge that there was a car dealership there. But one of the things that we're concerned about is the underground containers that they're going to fill their vehicles up with. So it's just not about what else can we have there, but maybe we can come up with something else. However, it is about safety. Those cars fly through our neighborhood with no consideration, and as most people here, I'm going to reiterate exactly what they said. What they said is that we have talked to Keating, and they say the same thing over and over. We live there. We did not buy a home to have car dealerships. We moved from California, and if we knew that this is where we were going to have a big high tower that nobody tells us about, we're going to have 2 car dealerships sitting there, we would not have purchased anything in Manvel. So I'm not angry, I'm upset because we understand about taxes, and sir, to your point, we get it. And we want lower taxes. However, not at the expense of the way we live. We came here because it was a small community. It was not Houston. We don't want Houston. If that was the case, we would have stayed in California. Honestly, we love where we live. We love our neighbors. We love the southern hospitality. Our neighborhood is quiet, except for the cars running up and down the street. And we don't want that. We really don't. And we would like you to take your consideration to really evaluate. I know people want to make money, but we also want to live. We want to live comfortably. So thank you so much for listening, and we appreciate your time.
Thank you very much. Yes, sir.
Hi, I'm Carlos. I'm with 603 Camden Shore Drive. I do understand the sentiment of people living right next to it. I'm with them. So I'm not for it, nor am I against it. I just want to put some information out there and people can take it with a grain of salt. With the dealership, we already know what we're getting. They're closed on Sundays. If we get a plaza, like lady just said, we don't know what we're getting. There might be like more hours, from earlier in the morning, later in the night, including Sundays. There might be more noise, more people. And as far as the cars passing by, right now I think the people we have a lot more test drivers in our community or in our neighborhood, because 288 is a mess. Like, I don't think anyone's gonna wanna drive on 288 with a car that's not theirs, with all that construction going on. So there's that too. So I believe that the test driving will decrease in the future once 288 is built. And then also, when it comes to the light, I mean, I'm with everyone. Like, the light is too much. So maybe they can talk to Toyota, and if there is a potential new dealership, they can maybe do what Ford does, right by Costco. The Ford, their lights are like yellow, like kind of like a softer color. Maybe they can do that. I don't know. That's an option. But yeah, so that's kind of like what I'm not like for it, but against it. I just want to throw that information out there.
Thank you, sir.
Yep.
And I saw a few more hands. Yes, ma'am. Oh, push the button for me more. There you go.
Good evening,
Thank you.
Alicia Carrier, 4107 Martin Ridge Drive. This is my first time, so part of me wants to come up here just to show that I came and I'm opposing, so to show that right. And then also, I would like to keep the integrity of our subdivision. I didn't move on the side where the car dealership was because of that fact. I moved on the other side. And then I've also been a member of the Manvel Improvement. So why can't we work with them to figure out, because we talked about having more parks, how can we make Manvel still be Manvel? So I feel like we should have partnerships with subdivisions and those other committees that we have here to see what it is that the community wants before we just bring in the big business and change the integrity of our subdivision.
Thank you very much. Do I have any other comments? I saw one more hand. Oh, we'll get you, I guess we'll do this one and then we'll do yours. Yes, ma'am. Oh, one more time. There you go.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kizzy Stewart Judy, and my address is 4403 Millstone Drive. I moved here to this community about 2 years ago, and again, much of what has already been said is the main reason why I'm concerned. The test driving is really problematic. My home is on the corner, and there's a lot of traffic that goes into, out of, and they're not respective of, again, kids getting off school buses or folks trying to drive out of their back way, out of their driveway. So that's concerning to me. Also, to the point that was just previously made, I would like to be consulted, again, as a community to find out what would benefit us. Because, again, we moved to the community with the knowledge that there was already a dealership, not that there would be another one to the other side. So, again, if there's an appetite for other businesses, at least consult with the community to find out what would be of benefit. A park, perhaps, maybe something to facilitate athletics. But again, just something that would be of benefit to the residents who live there and who purchase with the knowledge that there was one dealership, not multiple.
Thank you very much. Yes, ma'am.
She kind of said what I said. I mean, I'll introduce myself.
If you want to give us your name and address, and we'll put you down.
Good evening. My name is Donna Barber, and I live at 4422 Meadow Shore Lane, Manvel, Texas. And I'm pretty much piggybacking on pretty much I agree and I disagree, if you will, for the car dealership, because again, yes, we did not sign up for 2 car dealerships. It will be an eyesore, because when I tell my folks to come visit me, I'll be like, oh, it's by Toyota and whatever, Honda, Nissan, whomever. And I just don't want that to be a landmark. I agree with the young lady that just left up here, and she said we should all get together as with us and Rodeo Palm and Pomona, whomever, and get with the developers and maybe come up with an idea that will service the entire community, not just Del Bello, but Pomona, Rodeo. So that is an option. I'm not for it and I'm not against it. I'm more against it than I am for it, but I'm not either. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, everyone.
Good
My name is Sherelle Bryant. I live on 6014 Lake Bridge Lane. My house sits directly behind the lot where the car dealership is going to go. I am not for it or against it. I am more against it, but not for it or against it. I don't know how to, so my concern is the lighting, because my house sits directly behind where the car lot is going to be. And then if the house, the value of the homes are going to be affected, of course, that affects me as well. I would like to know what could be done about the lighting, if we can discuss that, so that it does benefit us as well and not affect them. So I don't really, I'm not against it, I'm not for it, but I'm concerned about the lighting. That's my concern.
Okay. And just for the record, we'll have an agenda item where we can discuss all this stuff here in just a little bit too. So, any other comments? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Samantha Matthew. I live in 4338 Whitney Crest Court. And I just wanted to agree with a lot of the comments that said that the development should benefit the residents of the community. So I'm opposed to the car dealership because I feel like it has no benefit to the people that already live there. Even if the area had to be converted to a commercial piece of property like strip malls, whatever, I feel like it should benefit families, children. It should be restaurants or maybe something that's family friendly for kids, like a YMCA, something like that. But I just feel like a car dealership doesn't actually help anyone who already lives in Del Bello. And yeah, that's what I had to say.
Thank you very much. Okay. Yes, sir.
Good evening. My name is Jamal Cheeks, 4331 Martin Ridge Drive. My wife and I are opposed to the car dealership, the new car dealership. And here's the reason why. Value added to the community. I think there is less value added to the community with a new car dealership being at that location than there is actual value added, if that makes any sense. So as it's been said several times, or reiterated, sir, that a new dealership does not add value to our community. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay. Any other hands? Okay, second call for public comments. And final call for public comments. Okay, we'll close this public hearing at 6:34. Okay. Okay, up next will be our consent agenda, which consists of just approving the meeting minutes to date. Any motions for that one?
Motion to approve.
Second.
And all those in favor? And the motion carries unanimously 7-0. Okay. And then our first regular agenda item will be consideration and possible action to approve the final plat for Pomona Section 28. Who would like to tell us about that?
Yes, the Pomona Section 28 final plat is a new residential section within the Pomona development. The proposed site is located on the northeast side of the intersection of County Road 58, Croy Road, and Jerusalem Road. The proposed plat subdivides 74.5-acre tract into 240 residential lots, 8 blocks, and 16 reserves. The proposed section includes 116 single-family specialty products lots with front entry and 124 single-family specialty product lots with rear entry. The proposed plat generally conforms to the preliminary plat approved in September 2022. This plat has been submitted and approved in May 2023. Applicant had to resubmit this final plat due to CenterPoint's requirement to make changes to the utility easement on the previous approved final plat. Staff recommends approval for the Pomona Section 28 with 2 conditions: to provide updated letters from the utility companies, and to provide an as-built drawing reflecting all proposed changes to the easement and easement locations.
Okay, thank you very much. What questions do y'all have?
Well, under staff recommendations, I'm reading that letters from utility companies, and it says that Comcast has been provided. Who else is missing?
CenterPoint.
Okay, which is a big one. So, yeah.
You might need that one.
Yeah. I mean, it's a condition, but it's, I mean.
Any other questions? No? No? Any motions then?
I'll make the motion with the conditions.
I'll second.
Second. And all those in favor? And all those opposed? No. So motion passes with condition 7-0. Okay. Agenda item B. This has been withdrawn, so we'll take no action. Agenda item C, consideration and possible action to approve and forward with recommendation to City Council 2024-0-35, which this would be the car dealership. So who would like to tell us all about it?
I will. Good evening, Planning and Zoning Commission. Evan Duvall with Safe Build. And I just want to mention this, I'm winding down my time as the zoning administrator, so I will be seen here less and less, so I'll miss you guys. But I'll start with my presentation. So this is a request. Right now, in terms of where dealerships are allowed, it's only the north side of DeBello Boulevard. This request is to apply, basically car dealerships could be anywhere in the commercial zone, which is the south part of DeBello and 288. And in terms of what the applicant has supplied us, they provided us a rough kind of conceptual site plan showing a roughly 16-acre car dealership with like two 30,000 square foot buildings, an associated car wash. They also showed like about 5 pad sites with, restaurants or commercial uses and an interior maybe office or area in the rear. I do want to say that the language proposed with this amendment doesn't reflect that. It would allow car dealership for the entirety of the south side. So that's kind of what's proposed, and I think the applicant wants to have flexibility with the size and how big that dealership can be. In terms of staff recommendation, when looking at things like this, we kind of look at how much of the proposed land use is going to be car dealerships. This would allow almost, not 100%, because there's that north parcel that's not being used for anything, but the majority of the land use in the commercial district could be car dealerships. And in terms of the whole development, it's mostly a single-family residential development, and then it has about 50 acres of commercial land. And if this were to be approved based on the site plan, and just allowing 16 acres to be car dealerships, roughly just over 67% would be allowed to, of the commercial land use would be one use, that's car dealerships. So when looking at zoning concerns, that's something that makes me nervous as a zoning administrator or looking at zoning cases, because that is a lot of one use in one area. I do have, and if the whole south is allowed to be car dealerships, and that's even more acreage over that 67%. I do want to mention that, staff's recommending denial essentially because there's not enough variation of land uses. And some of the people that have spoken today have mentioned the, providing amenities for the neighborhood. And that's basically why we're recommending denial of this proposed car dealership, is to have restaurants and other amenities for the neighborhood. And and essentially not to, when you leave 288, you turn right at the dealerships, and then you get to the neighborhood. I do want to say that I always like to recommend conditions of approval if this were to get if you guys decide to recommend approval on this item. And the two recommended conditions are that, one, the motor dealerships on the south side of the road be limited to 16 acres, and that's based on the site plan that the applicant showed us. And the second one is to provide, for the new dealership, to provide a 15-foot landscaping buffer with a minimum of one tree every 20 feet. And like with this PUD amendment, we can offer conditions so that if you guys decide to move forward with this item, I'd recommend those two conditions. That concludes staff report.
Thank you very much. Okay. What questions do y'all have to start with?
Do we have to give them 16 acres? Is that what they're requesting for the dealership?
And the applicant is here. Yeah, the applicant is here to speak, and that was just a site plan they kind of showed to show what this area could look like with an additional dealership on the south side. But I think the applicant has a lot more things to say and kind of describe this in a little more detail. I'm just taking what I got in, and 16 acres is what they showed me. So I just.
So the sample site plan they provided currently carves out 16 acres.
But I did email the applicant, and he confirmed that it's kind of in movement. So if this were to pass as written, it'd be for the whole acreage on the south side.
Correct. So it would be allowed to all be, but.
Right, so
Okay.
it could potentially be all.
That's correct.
Okay. Well, if the applicant's here, let's hear from him. Yes, sir. Would you like to come up and, yes, sir.
Thank you all, and thank you for the opportunity to present. I'm David Mintzberg, and I'm the managing partner for this tract of land, this 30 acres. And I've been here before and spoken to you also. It's nice to be back again. So let me introduce, clean up any confusion from folks who signed up earlier to speak. So let me introduce who's here with me. Some of them are here as a resource. So, okay, thought Garrett was still here. So Chris Wall is with Keating Toyota and can address, Garrett Nondorf is with me in my office. Chris Wall is with Keating Toyota. He's a resource. And I have Dwayne Heckman here, who's a land broker who's familiar with land uses in this area. So they're here to answer any questions and can come up later or can come up whenever y'all think appropriate. Some of you may remember that I came out here and presented, gosh, I should have looked it up before I came here, but it was certainly the better part of a year ago, and talked about our desire to sell this for a car dealership. And I got a lot of differing opinions as to what we ought to do and how we ought to use the land. And there were several things that were said that we worked very hard to incorporate, which is why it's taken me some time to get back here. That had to do with a buffer on the land, that had to do with the lighting, and that did have to do with some of the things that I heard earlier about people on the test drives. So we've worked hard with Keating Toyota on all of those issues. We have two folks that are interested in this tract. One group is interested to buy the entire tract and use it for a car dealership. I understood from y'all and from what I heard earlier is that was not a desired outcome, but I'm just telling you, what we have. We have a second group, which is the Keating Toyota folks that are interested in buying approximately 16 acres. And staff is correct. We're trying to work out what would be acceptable to the city. So, we've pulled back from doing more definitive drawings, but our approximate is 16 acres. If it ended up being 15.9 or if it ended up being half, I think we could certainly work with that. The other thing that I heard when I was here is there was an enormous desire to retain some for further commercial development. So do y'all have, and can we put up this plan? Great. Okay. So you'll see on Del Bello, we have reserved off approximately 5 acres for commercial for future development. And I think what I heard was when I was here last time, somebody talked about dental offices, restaurants, small buildings, insurance offices. So we went back and revised the plan to allow for that. So with that, I'm here. I can answer any questions, and we can have the Keating folks and the broker to talk a little bit about the marketplace.
So just a quick question, just to address some of the things you already mentioned. You talked about limiting lighting and test drives and things like that with heating. What form has that taken?
I'm going to let Chris Wall talk specifically to that.
Very good.
Good evening. I'm Chris Wall. I'm General Counsel for the Keating Auto Group, and I appreciate the opportunity to be here. As you mentioned, a lot of the complaints tonight have been over lighting and test drives. And I'll say that those are something we take seriously. We have dealerships throughout the state of Texas. We have developed properties in numerous municipalities. We have worked with them on accomplishing the concerns with the ordinances as well as the neighboring community. And so my point of that is that I'm extremely confident that we could work through, if we're able to continue these discussions and look at ways that we can accomplish our desire to put a dealership there, we can look at ways of addressing these concerns, both from a lighting perspective, what that looks like, as well as test drives. So.
Okay, so nothing definitive yet then?
Well, I mean, I guess I would say that with regard to lighting, I mean, if the conceptual plan is approved, then we would have to go through, meet all the city's requirements with regard to lighting. And we understand that and we know that. And obviously, so that's about as definitive as I can give you on that of, I don't know what the city's requirements are, but whatever they are, we would have to comply with those. Yes, sir.
So, I mean, I guess my question is, I understand from if I own a car dealership, I need a lot of light on those empty cars because I don't want, you're doing the lighting to protect your inventory. So I understand that the lighting is necessary. I think what so the nature of having a car dealership requires all that lighting. And so the concern from these people who live behind there is that if that's going to be the nature of what you need in order to protect your inventory, then, how do we find that balance there? How do we meet the needs that you have as a car dealership in order to protect your inventory and also meet the needs of the residents that don't want lights blaring into their homes? And so I don't know. Is there a way to find a balance where everybody's happy? That's where I think their concerns are, and that's what we have to look at as a committee is, we have to look out for our citizens, and we also want businesses, so we have to find a balance.
Yes, ma'am. You're exactly right. I mean, the majority of it is security concerns. Having inventory exposed, I'm sure you all have heard of the catalytic converter theft as an example. We've had them stolen right there and with the lights on, and they can do it in a few seconds. And so that's a big concern. As far as tools that we can use to do that, I know I may not be using the technical terms, but there's dimmers that, and reflect shields that can go to protect bleed over from going on to adjacent landowners. And then obviously dimming down a little bit as well. And we have utilized those. In fact, I think we're utilizing some at the Keating Toyota store. So.
Okay.
They can put in downlighting.
Yeah. And Bobby, I'm sorry. Order, please. Okay. Bobby, let me ask you a question too. In the process, since this is part of the PUD, so I know it follows a slightly different process. At what point does this come back to where we can put in things like that for stipulating lighting and so forth, or is once we pass this step, are they just simply all they need are building permits?
Well, having a PUD is like writing your own zoning district. Mm-hmm. Obviously, if you open up our book and have commercial or have residential, have a list of requirements and things that you can do and can't do. Under the PUD, you kind of write your own. It's a special district. So, like our temporary zoning official said, if you wanted to allow it and put in certain requirements that you would recommend be included in the PUD zoning change.
Right, so that would be something that would have to happen today.
Now would be the time to do that.
Right, okay, that's what I thought. I just wanted to make sure. Okay, what other questions do y'all have?
So with this development, I didn't see anything in there in regards to like a sound barrier wall or anything like that. Do you guys have that in here?
So the conceptual drawing that we drew, again, we were trying to work, I was with Mr. Mitzberg when we came, whenever that was, long ago, and trying to get some feedback of what that was. We struggled to get some of that feedback, and so we took it upon ourselves just based on what we assumed. So to your question, yes, I think it may be hard to tell, but yes, we visualize a wall there of some sort with trees, a buffer zone, et cetera. Again, this is conceptual in nature. This was hopefully to start a dialogue and a discussion so that we can hopefully say, okay, yeah, we're good with this conceptual plan. Now we need to fine tune what it looks like. And we're on board with that 100% of defining what your concerns are and how we can accommodate those concerns.
So their current conceptual plan here has a 8-foot continuous masonry privacy wall and then a 45-foot landscape setback on it at the moment, just for reference. Okay.
With the trees, I think it was every 25 on center?
20.
20.
I recommended 20, but I think it's,
Can we go 15?
The staff report says 15, I believe.
15-foot buffer and then one every 20 feet.
Okay.
We don't want to get, depending on the variety of trees, we don't want to get too close together.
Get crowded.
That can create problems with the growth of trees. I'm not a tree expert, so.
No worries.
Either, but I have put a lot of these in, and yes, when they're fresh and brand new, that seems too far.
But as they grow.
3 to 5 years, my observation is if you put them 15-foot centers, you're going to have more growth than
Along that.
I'm not
Well,
an arborist.
that's not the car
Um,
dealership. That's
I
like
mean,
other businesses.
We've had to take out a bunch. Okay, thank you, sir. What other questions y'all have for?
I know that some of the other concerns that the residents had were things like the large car trucks going through their neighborhood, the test driving going through their neighborhood, and I think that's probably, pretty problematic for them to have these big cars, these big trucks coming through and then test driving. And I do think to some degree it will help once 288 is not a mess and people could actually go test drive. Right now you can't. So I think some of that will alleviate, but I don't know if there's ways to protect. I don't know. What can we, is there something we can do to protect the neighborhood from getting all of that traffic due to the car dealership and the large trucks?
They're public streets, Christie.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
you can't tell somebody they can't drive on a public street.
Yeah, that's the
Can we
hard
put no through trucks, no trucks over certain weight limit?
That wouldn't affect the test driving.
No, but
cars,
it would detract the trucks, the 18-wheelers and car haulers going through the neighborhood like that.
I don't know if we have a truck route ordinance that does that. We'd have to look into that.
Okay, so that would be something separate.
It's hard for me to speak to the truck routes because those, I think everybody knows this, but those aren't our delivery trucks. And so I mentioned that in that we don't dictate those routes on how they are. Not saying we can't have discussions with them, but those aren't our delivery people. So.
Right. So just as a question, idea. So obviously, I don't know if you've done this anywhere else or could speak to even the possibility of it, but, lighting, like I said, it seems to be a big part of the issue. Is it possible to make, to have like a core lighting zone and then the extended lighting zone where that goes off at a certain point in time? So, the stuff that's closest to the residential is not on, all the time.
Yes, sir. I'm not a lighting expert, but I believe that all that is, I believe there are numerous possibilities on how that can be set up. Okay. Yes, sir. And those are things we would gladly enter into discussions with the city on how we can accomplish those things and address those concerns.
Okay. What other questions do y'all have?
I would like to know how you're handling drainage.
Thank you.
Amen.
And the reason I'm going to ask you that, because I asked you the last time you were here with the same property, and by this map, you still haven't addressed it unless you're dumping it back into the main, as a subdivision.
That's right. I'd have to have the engineer here, however.
Yeah.
I think my answer last.
Because that's a big one.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
My answer last time is the same as this time. We will comply with all of the city of Manvel's requirements. And
Well, if that's the case, then you're going to lose part of this property.
yes, sir, and if we do, we have.
Because if I remember right, the development was designed for the current
We have
drainage.
adjoining property that we can use for detention or retention.
Yeah, but You have a picture of that?
Yeah, where is that on the map?
I know it was,
Right.
yeah, it was on that other one, the main,
No, it's on that one. No,
There.
Go to the one that was up. So if you look to the bottom right, that's not dealership. See, the two buildings that are in white,
The two kind of bluish shaded buildings?
ones?
yes, they look white to me, but okay.
Okay, so,
So all of that property, or think about it, if
so the vast majority of the,
and we had commercial frontage, we still have 10 acres. But in any case, this would all have to comply with Manvel's, requirements.
so the vast majority of the proposed diversity there would be turned into a detention pond
yeah, in my case, that would change this concept.
dramatically. Okay.
I mean, I have a hard time approving something that I'm seeing something different.
Yeah.
We're not,
So,
Okay.
I mean,
we're just saying Manvel's requirements are Manvel's requirements, and we will be in compliance. Build it without doing that.
So, okay.
I mean, hard for us to do full engineering.
Oh, I get your point.
Does full engineering
So, yeah.
drawings without getting some approval.
No, you're correct, but it is a little misleading when it's 100%, retail space with absolutely no detention.
Yeah.
So it's
just a lot of concrete.
Yeah. What other questions?
Yeah, you're not.
Okay, but I just want to make sure I'm understanding this. We're not asking for approval for this conceptual plan.
No, we understand.
Okay, we're just the use.
Information, yes.
Okay, I got you. Okay.
Right, and we haven't precluded that there may be, some detention or retention on this tract. But, we're sort of in a catch-22. If we have that approval, then we'll come back with a refined drawing and a defined drawing which shows where the detention would be.
Of course, yeah.
And he is correct. During the development process, we're actually submitting building permits. They'll submit civil plans, and we'll make sure the drainage meets the requirements for the city.
No, I think we understand that. I think the thought is that, submitting a site proposal that's, conceptual, of course, it's just a rough draft, but making no provisions for detention in there is kind of misleading, that you're going to end up with the potential for, eight other retail properties up there, when in reality it could be, just three or four or none. But
I have one other thing.
yes, sir. Go ahead.
Under the code, that's 4411. I know it's more than motor vehicles. What else is under that? Do you know?
Got to go ask the hard questions.
Under NAICS usage, that's a code that's listed here.
And Ryan, just real quick, while they're looking that up, to answer one of your questions. Now, once the use is approved in the PUD, then they will pull their permits and get to build it. I don't think you're going to get a specific site plan for approval that comes back to PD&Z. I just want to make sure you're not going to be able to say yay or nay to this particular site plan or not. Once it's approved, they pull their permits and go build it. So I didn't want you to have the misinformation. If that's what you thought, you'd approve the use and come back and then see a site plan that you would have to approve or not.
What could include, because I've installed these myself, underground detention, which sits under the concrete.
Is that something we do? I can't recall.
I'd have to defer to our floodplain manager about what type of drainage we allow.
I'm having a personal hard
Can I
time.
ask you a question, Dan? Is that something that we generally do or do not do, or?
Underground?
Mm-hmm.
It's possible, but the only way to make it work on a flat piece of property like this is you have to pump it.
So, and we don't do pumped, so. At least not so far.
Allow them on a case-by-case basis.
So is it 30 acres or 50 acres altogether?
We have 30 acres there.
Okay. So now my other question is, it says to provide the roughly 50 acres and 19% of the total acreage.
That includes the existing Keating?
Yeah, I can clarify that. Let me clarify the NICS code. 4411 is new car dealers, used car dealers are the two uses that are under that code. And then going back to the acreage, so the total commercial acreage for DeBello is 50 acres.
And that's Keating already in this project.
And there's a smaller tract next to Keating on the north side it's not being addressed in this, but this is for, the reason this is coming up is for the south side acreage, south of DeBello.
Which is about 30 acres. Okay.
Okay.
I mean, I think the positives of this plan are that, the dealership part is pushed off into that corner, and it's not really right there where the homes are. So I think that's I think I can tell that y'all have definitely done some work in trying to accommodate some of the concerns before. I think the apprehension of our committee is that, I think even the residents would probably welcome some of the business plats that you have, along Del Bello Road. Knowing that a dealership is not going to be on Del Bello Road, it would be pushed off into the frontage road. I think that the picture does help give some insight to that. I think the uncertainty on our part as a committee is that none of those things are required, right? The things that would give people pause or give people a little bit of peace, it would be that commercial development along Del Bello versus the dealership there. But by zoning all of this into this particular zoning, it doesn't guarantee the things that I think people would find that they would like. I think that they would like. I mean, the people here would probably like that you have some restaurants and businesses along Del Bello, but none of that's guaranteed within the plan. And I think that's what the apprehension would be.
I think that's what we're seeking is if this committee and city council says we're good with Keating on this plan, we're good with 4.5 acres on Del Bello for commercial, then that's what we can proceed with. So, no, that's why we're here.
Yeah. But unfortunately, this particular zoning is for all of it, for
Correct.
the 44, right?
But we can say.
We can apply a condition. We can't apply a condition limiting to a certain percentage, it looks like.
So we could say 50% is going to go for other business, or at least 50%.
Yeah, the staff recommendation is to limit it to the 16 acres that they have proposed here, if I remember how it is written correctly here.
That is correct. But if there's no drainage, then what we're saying is then there might not be any room if we go about and approve the 16 acres, and by the time they go through the water, then there's no room for anything else. So can we say, regardless, if we approve it, it cannot be built unless, only a percentage of the land that is available?
Or can we put the drainage stuff within the 16 acres where they can't use the other acreage for drainage?
That's
That'll cut into their acreage, but they won't go over 16.
a technical question that we're going to have to ask one of these guys.
Okay, I do have one other question. It almost looks like y'all penciled in an entrance off of 288. Is that something y'all are seeking from TxDOT to come in off of the feeder road versus coming all the way in through DeBello?
I've had many discussions with TxDOT on that. I don't know the answer to that.
Okay.
They want it, but
That sounds like a no.
But they haven't given you no
They have
information.
not given us permission.
Okay.
I have a lot of hard times with
Once
this.
on that, I've spoken to them 50 times.
yeah, TxDOT's not, doesn't hand those out very easily.
They don't handle anything.
That's a good
Commissioner Ryan, just a point of clarification. I think staff's primary recommendation was denial, and the conditions listed were in case the commission is inclined towards approving, then those conditions be included, and any other condition that you may deem necessary based on the meeting that we are having now.
Positive, negative.
And I just want to, sorry.
Yes, sir.
I just, too, talking about the dealership, we don't, when we when we moved Keating Toyota, we relocated from Alvin, as you probably know, and relocated. We have nothing definite right now, but what this would be, this is not a relocation of a store for us. It would be an add point of some sort, trying to get a new brand. My point of that is that we wouldn't be relocating jobs from another town over to here. We would be bringing in brand new, hiring jobs. A dealership of that size varies, but it could easily be 75 or 100 jobs. So I just point out some of the positives. We've heard a lot of negative things about what dealerships bring. Some of the positives are the number of jobs that we can create. Outside of lights and test drives, I would venture to say that I think, and of course I'm biased, but I think Keating Toyota has done a lot for the community. I think they've been a good partner to the community, and that would be no different here, other than another part of the Keating stores came to the community. So.
Okay, so to clarify what you just said, you will put a dealership there if you get it, or Keating won't and somebody else may come in?
If it was approved for dealership use, and we purchased the property, then yes, we would. Okay. Our goal would be to put a dealership there.
If you purchase the property, you will put a dealership there.
The other proposal is you have another
one that wanted the whole thing as a dealership.
They only want the whole thing.
Oh.
We aren't trying to get the whole thing.
Okay.
Let me.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. So again, some of you. I talked with and worked with many, many years ago. My group has had a very, very satisfactory relationship with Keating Toyota. So it's our desire to sell to them. We're waiting to move forward until, approval. But once we have that approval, we'll be moving forward quickly.
With the sale to?
With the sale to Keating, yes, ma'am.
Regarding Keating, are you planning to bring in another dealership or to expand yours?
No, ma'am. It would not be an expansion of Keating Toyota. It would be another dealership of some sort.
Dealership.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am. It would be what
something.
It would be what we call an add point, to where, in other words, we aren't relocating from another town to Manvel. It would be getting approval from a manufacturer. I don't know which one. I couldn't tell you because we don't have anything locked down. But it would be opening a new store that doesn't currently exist.
So you'd have two dealerships there. Keating would have Toyota and then plus one more.
Correct. Yes, ma'am.
And possibly a third.
And my question, is I don't live in the neighborhood, right? But if you go look at dealerships, you often see multiple car dealerships together. It's not uncommon to see a Toyota and then a Ford and then a Honda all in one spot. So, I can say that because I don't live right there, but I do understand their concerns. But it's not uncommon to see multiple car dealerships. And one of the positives is you're bringing a lot of people that don't live in Manvel to come to Manvel to spend their money in Manvel, to eat at restaurants in Manvel. So there are some positive things. I would agree with you that there are some positives. I think that we might be able to get there. I just think there's a lot of question marks for us.
And you could just to clarify, because I know it was brought up earlier about sales tax and so forth. Sales tax is collected along with the local percentage only on like maintenance and parts and so forth, but new car sales does not have any local tax benefit.
It brings a lot of people to the community.
Correct. Yeah. And then the second question is this a item that we could table to discuss further so we can have a full list of recommendations if that's the direction we want to go, or
Yeah, that would be an option if the commission decides to do that.
Can we table it under the legal guidelines of it, or do we have to?
It's not applied with a 30-day shot clock rule.
What I wanted to know.
Thank you for asking that.
I just think we would need some time to look into lighting things like that we're not prepared to do. Mm-hmm. But, if that was even going to be a possibility, we would want to take the time to consider the residents and what they need and not just make it, a snap decision.
Yeah, I think that's my biggest concern is the residents and the houses that back up along this development right here, and being able to protect them and make sure that we keep them whole with their residents, what they purchase. When they purchase their property, there was nothing over here in this area. They already knew that the Keating Toyota dealership was there. So when they purchased their property, they would purchase it knowing that dealership was over there. Now you have these other individuals here that, right now it backs up against nothing. But when you put this dealership in there, there's going to be lights, there may be noise. We need to have some assurances that we can do something with that. So that's my pause right now.
Well, and to piggyback off of that, I think that it needs to also address the needs of that community, such as restaurants, and therefore we might have to, and since we don't know how much storage of water, put it that way.
Well, drainage is critical.
Yeah, drainage, then we could only be vague in saying, hey, 40% of the possible land usage, we would say, okay, for a car dealership, but there has to be the other 60% for restaurants or whatever serves the community, is what I'm thinking anyway.
I just think we should look into it a little bit further
Yes.
and know what we're doing.
And I'd like to look into, I know that since we're adding, is there a feeder road? Are they adding the feeder? Sometimes if there's a feeder road, you're a lot more likely to get an entrance off of 288.
There will be a feeder.
Once there's a feeder road, we might have a better possibility, which would probably make residents feel better that they don't have to go onto Del Bella Road to enter into the dealership.
I really wasn't being facetious.
I know you were. TxDOT's not easy. Yeah.
Basically, they told me to go away and stop calling them until they were finished.
Right. With one set, but once you get that feeder road, there's a lot better. I mean, yeah.
We can have a complete discussion.
Make a motion table it.
We're just not going to talk to you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, and as many people said, this land's going to be developed. It's not a matter of if it's going to be whoever bought their houses along that and had beautiful land behind them. Like, it's not going to last. There's going to be something developed there, and so we just want to be able to.
Yeah. So it sounds like we're at a point though where we just need further discussion.
We'll
So
make a motion to table.
Second.
all those in favor of tabling, and motion passes 7-0.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Thank you
very much.
How would we go about doing that? Do we just put this as another agenda item and then we can freely talk about it?
Well, can we?
You could do a joint council meeting if that's something that council would like to take up. Otherwise,
Can we just
it'll be
have-
on the next agenda, I think, Tammy, unless it's not. And
Can we have
at some point you've got
a workshop with the agenda item though?
We could have a workshop with a PD&Z workshop on this particular item.
Well, does Dan
And maybe even an
have the
executive
formula
session to
for-
talk about some legal ramifications about
we can ask them
the
to prepare
expectations
some
the
things for us.
Yeah,
residents
okay.
have of what was going to go next to them.
Very good.
And if I may add.
Yes, sir, please.
From a staff perspective, we would work on putting together information that you would need in terms of every item that was discussed, like the lighting aspect of it, the point you mentioned in terms of expectation, and any other possible information that could help you decide on
Drainage is
this.
a big thing to me. So,
And
we
so
would
this-
also communicate with the applicant to make sure they can provide us with whatever information is pertinent in helping.
And just for everybody else's sake here, this will be on our next agenda then?
But just to confirm, City Council will have a public hearing at their next meeting on this topic because it has been, they won't take action on it, but they will have their public hearing, same as you guys did, because it was listed as being public hearings for both meetings.
So this coming Monday, a week from today, City Council is going to have the same conversation about this.
As a public hearing only, no
As a
action.
public hearing with no actions.
have to be there?
Or Tuesday, I'm sorry, Monday's a holiday.
Does it have to be there?
Oh, sorry, Tuesday? Is it Tuesday?
They do have to have their hearing because it's been published already. You can't cancel that.
Okay, that's what I was wondering. I don't know the law on that one. There's a weird loop.
But it's Tuesday
Okay.
instead of Monday?
Tuesday instead of Monday because Monday's a holiday, I'm sorry.
That's good.
And to answer your question, Commissioner, it'll show up on the next agenda since
2
it's
weeks.
been tabled.
2 weeks from today, so,
And if we're not ready to proceed, we'll ask you to table it again.
okay.
So we could do a workshop.
So
You don't communicate with us. Tammy
if y'all are
will communicate with us about
interested
that.
in seeing the further discussion on that in 2 weeks' time,
Okay.
we'll be right here. The time might start earlier because of a workshop, which will be just our discussion, but it's still open, so.
Does it have to be at
If we have a workshop, it would be earlier, and I will email everybody out. It will be posted 72 hours.
Yeah.
It will be posted 72 hours in advance, so those interested would just go out and check our website to see when that meeting would be, whether at 5 or at 6.
Yeah. And if you can't make it, it is streamed on YouTube as well.
But I feel like they should have went first before we made our decision, because because now I'm against it.
Yes, ma'am. There will be the public comment, just a regular public comment card. So when you come in, just fill out one of the comment cards next time, and you can speak on any topic.
Y'all make sure y'all put them first.
We'll do our best. Is that published after this?
Yeah, it's part of the packet that's online, and the city council public hearing will just be like this one, where the item will be introduced and you'll be able to speak on the topic. It'll just be like this, but in front of council, so it'll be very familiar to you.
No, that's not they only mail the notice. If you go to the Manvel website and look for our meeting here, that packet should have all that information in it.
Yeah, that's just for us to notify you guys to have you come to this meeting and talk to us if you have any questions. It's more of just to get you to talk to us. So, thank you.
Okay, now let me find my other piece of paper here, and then we'll proceed with the rest.
We're on D.
I'll just read all that.
If we have anything.
Yeah. Okay, we tabled that. So agenda item D, consideration of possible action to direct staff to provide applicants written statements of the conditions for any conditional approvals and the reasons for disapproval of any plans or plats that were not approved per Texas Local Government Code -212.0091. I get a motion, please?
Motion to approve.
And a second. And all those in favor? Motion passes 7-0.
We do a motion to adjourn?
And all those in favor?
I'm hungry.
Okay.
It's time for dinner.
And we have adjourned. Thank you, everybody, for coming tonight. Thank you for all the comments and inputs.